One day, a professor walked into the classroom carrying a large glass jar. As always, there was a spark of intelligent curiosity in his eyes. The students were looking at him with great interest. The professor placed the jar on the table and brought out several large rocks from underneath. Each rock was about the size of a fist. He began placing them into the jar one by one until no more could fit. Then he looked at the class and asked, "Is this jar full now?" The students looked and saw that no more rocks could be added, so most of them nodded and said, "Yes, sir, it's full." The professor smiled and pulled out a bag filled with small pebbles. He poured the pebbles into the jar and gave it a slight shake. The pebbles filled in the gaps between the rocks. Again he asked, "Is it full now?" Some students hesitated a bit this time, but many replied, "Yes, sir. Now it's really full." Next, the professor brought out a bag of sand and began pouring it into the jar. The grains of sand filled all the remaining spaces between the rocks and pebbles. Once again he asked, "Is it full now?" This time the whole class responded together, "Probably." Finally, the professor took out a mug of water and poured it into the jar. The water seeped through the sand and filled the jar completely. He smiled and said, "Yes, now the jar is truly full." Then the professor looked at the class and said, "This jar represents your life. The big rocks are the most important things in life: your family, your health, your deep relationships, and your personal dreams and goals. Even if you lose everything else, as long as you have these, your life will still feel complete. The pebbles represent other important things: your career, your house, your car, or your university degree. These are important too, but not as essential as the rocks. And the sand represents the small stuff, like scrolling through social media, unnecessary online shopping, or day-to-day trivial activities that don't carry much meaning." He explained, "If you fill the jar with sand or pebbles first, there will be no room for the big rocks. The same goes for life. If you spend your time and energy on the little things or less important matters, you won't have space left for what truly matters. Your rocks are the pillars of your life, your family, your health, your dreams, your passions. If you don't realize their value and don't focus on them first, one day you may realize you've left out the most important parts of life." The professor's final message was even deeper. Place your rocks first. They give your life meaning and foundation. Never let the pebbles and sand take their place. At the end of your journey, it's the weight of those rocks that will define the value of your life. So fill your life with things that nourish your soul and fulfill your heart. The rest, the pebbles and sand, are just external. After the professor finished speaking, one student raised their hand and asked, "Sir, what does the water represent?" The professor smiled and said, "Great question. The water shows that no matter how busy life gets, there's always room for small moments of joy, like having a cup of tea or coffee with a friend. Often we try to balance all our priorities and fit everything into the limited hours of the day. We get so busy with everyday tasks and small matters that we forget what's truly important. This jar, this life, is not limitless. If you fill it first with sand and pebbles, there'll be no room left for the rocks. So I say, place your rocks first: your family, your health, your dreams, your love. Make time for your loved ones, take care of your physical and mental health, and follow your dreams and passions with courage. And in between, remember to leave space for learning, growing, and showing empathy. And the water. Those are the little joys, the unexpected laughs, the shared moments with friends. No matter how full life seems, there's always room for these tiny bursts of happiness. The pebbles and sand. They're necessary too, but don't let them replace the rocks. In the end, remember, life is not about being busy. It's about being meaningful. It's not about counting the days, but making the days count. Create a balance among the rocks, the pebbles, the sand, and the water. One that brings true joy and completeness to your life. If you believe this story